Alright guys, I got one more quick video to make here this morning. I wanted to respond to Karu's other video. The warm weather that you're having, I'm truly envious because it's been kind of in the 40s and 50s here, but it's been snowing in the mountains. So it's been raining and really windy as all get out, and then snowing in the mountains here in Pendleton. And one of the things, like you're talking about the fast and how you don't have the energy to swim and work on the bathroom. I'm completely, it's funny because my energy level gets lower and lower the further into the fast we get. I guess there's only got Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, so 3.5 days left. And the daylight savings time thing just killed me because, like I said, I had to shift my schedule, and then I get home and I've got 2 hours, and actually I only worked out twice this last week. I'm not because it was because I had conflicts in the afternoons. I had to go do things. So I really need to get back to working out in the morning. Next week after the fast, I'll do that. But yeah, the energy level, I come home from work and I'm just, I find that I'm short-tempered because I'm really hungry, and I'm kind of a zombie. So that's all right. Along with talking about the fast, I found it really interesting that kind of on a late Friday afternoon while you're fasting, you spent 3/4 of your video talking about food extensively. I think that may be symptomatic of the fact that you're not eating. I could be wrong, but maybe not. And along those lines, kind of the segue from that to this next thing is that the picture that I cheated on. Now, Karu, you can say I cheated, but because I took advantage of the resources at hand is not cheating. I mean, if you're going to send me a picture that says I am here, why would I bother looking elsewhere? I mean, if I sent you a video and I said in it, I'm in Pendleton, Oregon, and then I ask you where I am, are you going to go look up extra information? No. You're going to say you're in Pendleton, Oregon. And so you send me a picture with a latitude, longitude coordinate attached to it. What am I supposed to do? Huh? Come on. I mean, that's not cheating. That's just like, it's reading, It's not like I planned a way to get around your evil scheme to test me. Come on. I think you need to grow up a little bit. The other thing, your bathroom looks great, although it was difficult to see with you flinging the camera around for fear the battery was going to die. But I'll look forward to seeing it when I come visit in a little bit over a month. I did want to talk a little bit about soccer. You mentioned that you watched the LA Fake Salt Lake, as most of disparaging fans call them, match. And yeah, actually the whole thing with Beckham yelling at the ref was... Beckham just needs to, he yells at the ref a lot, and it really bugs me. It ticks me off, and I wish he would just shut up and play. And you find this with a lot of European players who come over to the U.S., and I think that, quite honestly, that they're used to getting a little deference in the European leagues from the refs, and the U.S. refs are much more sort of disciplinarian, and they also, they're probably not as consistent, quite as consistent as European refs, and so these European players just completely go off on the American refs. And I wish they would just shut up and play, because it just annoys me. And Beckham, in that case, yeah, he was partially to blame for that goal. Yeah, so, and you talked about how you didn't see Donovan, but you saw the 2 shots off the crossbar. Well, the first one was that volley from Donovan where the guy flicked the ball to him. Buttle flicks him the ball. Donovan takes it off his chest and turns without letting it hit the ground and hits that beautiful shot off the crossbar from 25 yards out. That was Donovan. The interesting thing about the Galaxy is, so they opened with a 2-2 tie in CONCACAF Champions League against Toronto. Then they lost 3-1 at home against Salt Lake, like you saw. And then they played Toronto again on Wednesday. And then they play actually again today against DC United, I think also at home. And so they've had, right at the beginning of the season, so this is like last Wednesday was the beginning of the season. So in a week and a half, they've got 4 games right at the beginning of the season before their match fit. So it's going to be really interesting. And so they actually lost to Toronto 2-1 and are eliminated from the Champions League. And that match was just painful to watch because LA they just dominated the game. They had 60% of the possession. They had twice as many shots on goal. They had 8 times as many corners. They hit the bar. They had one-on-ones. And Toronto actually had 3 scoring chances. 2 shots on goal, scored twice. Cat, don't knock my tripod down. And so they lost 2-1. And they also had a goal disallowed for offside, which was completely wrong. Cat, yes, wave your tail in front of the camera. Now that said, that's not an excuse. They lost because, and they allowed, both goals were like just, mental lapses where they didn't close guys coming out of midfield. And so they deserve to lose. I'm not saying they deserve to win, but it's interesting because last year, in the last couple of years, LA has always been the team that did what it took to win. I mean, their winning formula has been that they play defense first, they play compact, they play smart, they're sharp when they have to be. They up their intensity when they're in the box on either end. They score when they get their chances, and their last-ditch defending has been really good. They also have some remarkable talent on the team, but it's been largely this sort of blue-collar effort. And it's interesting because they played all 3 of these matches. They played really beautiful soccer. I mean, all this one-touch work in the midfield, really beautiful skill stuff going on. Donovan has looked great. He put through Robbie Keane twice in this last match with just sublime no-look passes into space. And they haven't finished their chances, and they haven't been sharp in their defending right in the final third, and they deserve to lose because of that. I'm hopeful that they'll work on those things and get back to what they've done before, but it may be a long season, especially considering that everyone expects them to really clean up this year. So yeah, that's my soccer. I've got a series of things actually to talk about. I guess I've got 3 other things that you didn't mention, crew. Tennis season has started for Gareth, and so Gareth is playing #1 doubles with a junior kid who is a nice kid named David Smith. And I know his dad. His dad actually runs a business called Smith Securities and does security systems for buildings and CCTV and that sort of thing. And so we've worked with him some of the tribe. And so they're playing preseason matches now, and they played earlier Monday, I guess, up at Milton Freewater, and they won. And then they played last night against a team from Union, or I don't know, one of the Adams, I think, or something. I don't know which town, one of the small towns around here. And they actually played a couple seniors. So this other team didn't have enough players, so they played their #1 and #2 singles players as a #1 doubles team against Gareth and his partner. And they lost 6-3, 6-2. But they played really well. They're both really inexperienced. And the boys they were playing were both quite good. And it was really fun to watch. Actually, it was cool to see them play well together, and you could see them gain confidence through the match as well. Ouch! You bit my finger, Charlie. Bit my finger. So, yeah, that's kind of cool. The other interesting thing that I want to talk about is, so Sarah got an email last week from somebody who said, we're interested in translating your books into Turkish. Would you be willing to sell the Turkish rights of your books? And so she was like, why don't you contact my agent? And then her agent is this guy, Jack, in New York City, and so she emailed Jack and said, is it okay if I have these guys contact you? And he goes, well, yeah, actually, they contacted me first. And so Sarah lists Jack as her agent on her webpage, even though he's not representing her on her self-published books. And he said, but the books that they wanted to translate are ones that he hadn't seen. So he's tried to sell 3 of her books, but the ones that are selling really well are the After Kilmary series. And these are the ones that they wanted Turkish rights to. And so he said, yeah, it's a reputable firm. He's worked with them before, but he told them, to contact her directly. But he said he'd be happy to represent her. So he said, can I see these books? And so the interesting thing about these books that she wrote, the After Kilmary series, is that she wrote these books, at least some of them, before she actually had him as an agent. These were some of her earlier books. And after she put up her later books, she went back and rewrote these books and cleaned them up and then self-published them. And she had another agent that had one of these books, I think. But now he's read her books now, and they're talking about possibly moving on some other options with those books. I guess he really liked the one he read. So it's kind of funny but she may well be published in Turkish, which I personally want a hard copy of her book in Turkish. I mean, my life is complete at that point, really. What more do I need? So yeah, the last thing is I got a new pair of shoes. I got my new shoes, and these are Merrill, and they're called like Pro Glove or something shoes, and they're supposed to be similar to barefoot, and it's really interesting. Actually, I really like them, and so I'm going to take the camera off the tripod here and show you my new shoes. So these are my new shoes, and they're low and they're really tight. They have zero slope. They're very thin soled, and the toe of them is quite wide, so that actually my toes don't touch the sides or the front of the shoe. So it's not quite the same as wearing the Vibram 5 Fingers, but they're really comfortable. And actually, when I'm sitting at my desk, you know how when you get home and you're wearing shoes and you just feel like taking off the shoes because you're freeing your feet? I don't actually feel that with these shoes. I've worn them for a couple days now. So I think I'm going to take these shoes to Wales when we go and wear them. So look at this cat. So this cat crept in behind me on this chair. And look how big he is. Anyway, so that's my story for now, and I will talk to you later. Still dead.